What's going on, guys? Super Savage 789 here, bringing you guys a video, and today we're doing What If Roshi raised Goku. I'm very excited for this what if, so without further ado, let's just get into today's video. In this timeline, instead of Goku's space pod landing at Mount Paozu, it lands in the ocean. As the crashing waves carry around the pod, the boy inside is thrown around quite a bit, meaning that he'd end up hitting his head. He'd be floating around for several hours before a turtle comes across him. Turtle would be curious about the item and examines it, believing it to be some kind of satellite. When he sees a boy inside, knocked out, he quickly realizes he needs to help. He places the pod on his back and begins swimming as fast as he can towards Kame House. After arriving, Roshi would come out, relearns of the situation from his friend. Being the kind-hearted man that he is, Roshi would tend to the boy and nurses him back to health. Using telepathy, Roshi reads the boy's mind to learn about what events transpired to leave him stranded in the ocean. Due to him hitting his head though, his memories are all muddled, making it unsuccessful. They look for his parents for a few days, but they also have no luck in that regard. So another option, Roshi decides that he'll take care of the boy for a while, at least until someone comes to claim him. Roshi would decide to take the boy on as a son. So in this timeline, Goku's name would be Muten Mutaito, but for simplicity, we're just gonna call him Goku. It'd be clear from an early age that Goku's obsessed with fighting, which works out nicely for Roshi. So he'd raise the boy in the way of the Turtle School, making him do the Turtle School training every day. He'd also train him on the side to further increase his strength. This instills the mindset and martial arts within Goku from an early age, fundamentally tying him to the martial arts from the start. Goku's intelligence would also be slightly higher, to the point where he can count numbers without getting confused. He'd also learn about Roshi's various escapades back in the day, amazed at his father's stories. Whenever Goku inevitably comes in Ozaru, it'd be handled pretty easily. Roshi would simply blow up the moon to prevent that ever happening again. Goku would likely learn the Kamehameha from Roshi through their training, copying it after seeing his father do it in passing. He'd also get Kinto-un from a much earlier age. So going into the start of Dragon Ball, we'd have a much stronger Goku. We'd also have a Roshi who is stronger since he had Goku to be training with over the years. It wouldn't be much more of an increase, but it would still be noticeable. The beauty about a scenario like this is that there's not really much setup we need to do, so we can just jump straight into the story. Turtle would head out for groceries with neither Goku nor Roshi hearing from him for a little while. This worries the Turtle Hermit a little bit, as does Goku. So Roshi decides to tell his adopted son to go look for him. Since Goku doesn't have too much experience with the outside world, he'd be rather eager. He's been off the island before naturally, but it isn't too often. So he'd call for his magic cloud and flies away. After a bit of looking around, Goku ultimately runs into Turtle in the woods trying to find the ocean. Turtle will be rather grateful to have Goku there, confessing he was lost. Goku laughs, picking up his friend. He then simply flies him back to Kame House. Easily done. So Goku would just be at Kame House vibing without anything to do for a little while. A few days go by before anything substantial actually happens. As Goku is training with Roshi, both of them are distracted by a noise. They turn to see Turtle with two people on his back. Turtle explains that while he was swimming around exercising, he ran into these two. One of them was the disciple of Gohan and the other the child of Ox King. These are Yamcha and Chi-Chi. Roshi would smile at the prospect of his two protege passing on their legacy to the next generation. He sweat drops however, learning about how neither have really learned anything from their masters. Yamcha has been Gohan's student for only a few days and Chi-Chi isn't really a martial artist. They explain to Roshi how they need him to put out the flames on Fry Pan Mountain, which he accepts. Recognizing the names, Goku would find it cool that they were trained by other strong people, so he asks them to fight. While Chi-Chi passes, Yamcha agrees, believing that he can beat this small fry. With a few after images off the bat, Goku leaves Yamcha completely outmatched, so after one blow, he's taken down, leaving Chi-Chi blushing at the boy's strength. Roshi would travel to Fry Pan Mountain with Yamcha, letting Goku follow behind with Chi-Chi on Kinto-un. It wouldn't take long before they arrive, where the Turtle School reunion would occur. Roshi would be glad to see both his students yet again, but would be annoyed that neither truly kept up on their training. Gohan tells him that they've grown old, it's not their responsibility anymore. They all then turn to Goku, Yamcha, and Chi-Chi, recognizing them as the next generation. Roshi then proceeds to destroy Fry Pan Mountain. After recognizing the Dragon Ball on Roshi's neck, Bulma would try to get it from him. So after a quick panty flash, Bulma would be given the Dragon Ball as well. Goku would be curious about the Dragon Balls and asks about them, learning from Bulma about what they do. The idea of a wish-granting dragon excites Goku, so he asks to tag along with the group to see them summon it. I think they'd be okay with it, as there's no reason not to let him come. So Roshi gives his blessing, telling Goku will be waiting at Kame House for his return. So the group leave, bidding Roshi, Ox King, and Chi-Chi farewell. After this, we'd run into the Rabbit Mob. This would be a wash with Goku taking them out faster than most of them can perceive. This impresses even Gohan as he recognizes the strength of his master's son. And when the Pilaf gang arrives, they'd also get easily clapped by Gohan and Goku. With no moon there to put them in peril, it means this arc is pretty simple, so they just summon Shenron. Bulma quickly realizes that she doesn't need the wish anymore due to having Yamcha, so she offers it to anyone else. Goku speaks up, requesting which they all agree to. So he wishes for a year's worth of adult magazines to Roshi, making everyone double over at the ridiculous wish. But everyone splits up, Goku requests a spar with Gohan. Gohan laughs before agreeing, wishing to test his strength. So they do have a brief spar, moving faster than any of them can perceive. Gohan would catch Goku's tail, which makes him go limp, commenting on this being a glaring weak point in how he fights. Goku is glad to find a new weakness and gets back up, asking Gohan to finish this with one more attack. So the duo both have a Kamehameha clash, creating a pretty small explosion that blows everyone else back. Both of them recognize each other's strength and thank the other for a good match. Goku then calls his magic cloud and departs, ready to return home. After returning home and handing his father his present, Krillin would quickly show up wanting to train. While Roshi is skeptical, Goku would be ecstatic at the chance to have another training partner. So Krillin is allowed to train with Roshi. Since Roshi has the large amount of magazines, they don't need to find launch, meaning we never get to meet her. Since Krillin is training with a stronger Goku and Roshi, it means that after the training, he'll also be stronger. Goku would also train his tail here, since he had that weakness pointed out. Over with Yamcha, he'd be training with Gohan at Mount Paozu. While he wanted to go with Bulma, after seeing so many high-level fighters, he wished to better himself, so he asked Bulma to wait for him. We also see Chi-Chi being trained a bit more seriously here. Ox King took what Roshi said to heart, and didn't want to be shown up by Gohan or Roshi's students. Plus, Chi-Chi saw how strong Goku was, so she'd probably be a bit inspired by his insane strength. So the 21st Tenkaichi Budokai, we'd have all these parties meeting up once again. Krillin would be pretty nervous in the presence of so many strong fighters. Goku reassures him though. Roshi also confesses his plans to Gohan and Ox King, telling them about how he's going undercover. So Roshi still becomes Jackie Chun to teach all of them the lesson that there always is someone stronger. In the tournament bracket, Chi-Chi would end up replacing Ranfan, with the rest of the fighters being the exact same position. After Krillin's identical fight with Bacterian, Yamcha would fight Jackie Chun. Yamcha would be doing much better than in canon thanks to Gohan's training. He wouldn't be underestimating Jackie Chun as much, and would be going all out. Despite this, Jackie Chun pretty easily wins, knocking Yamcha out of the arena. Bulma then chews out Yamcha for losing so quickly, calling his training trip a waste. Next is Chi-Chi against Nam. While she does her best, Nam would be pretty easily parrying all her attacks. He then defeats her with one chop to the back of the neck. Goku fights against Giran and wouldn't really struggle. He'd be able to destroy his gum and knock him out of the arena. Then Krillin fights Jackie Chun, but this also goes the same with Jackie Chun simply defeating Krillin. Then Goku fights Nam. He and Nam wouldn't even be close to Goku, so the fight isn't even that intense. When Nam takes to the air, Goku follows him, knocking him to the ground. In the air, he's left open, which lets Goku exploit his weakness. So Goku wins much quicker. Roshi would be pretty nervous looking at his son's strength, but also feels a form of pride. After a quick break, the finals take place with Jackie Chun and Goku entering the arena. This fight is shockingly different though. They're both stronger, but that doesn't determine everything in a fight. Goku's been training with Roshi for close to a decade, meaning that he'd be accustomed to his fighting style and techniques. While he doesn't know Jackie Chun as Roshi, subconsciously, he's able to predict what he'll do next and keep up. His drunken fist attacks quickly become ineffective, and the Thundershock surprise is dodged last second. So by the time they both come to their final attacks, Goku would have more energy left. This means that he's able to stand up after a double knockout and declare that he did so win. He then passes out. So to Roshi's horror and the gang's delight, Goku is the winner of the tournament. After Goku awakens, he decides to buy a big banquet for the whole gang, delighted by his win. While they eat, Gohan, Oxy, and Roshi would all begin talking. Roshi comments on him being nervous at Goku's win, worried that it may go to his head. He has potential to become the greatest martial artist ever, so he hopes he doesn't become cocky. Ox King tries to reassure Roshi that he's just paranoid, but Roshi can't get rid of that sinking feeling. When everything is said and done, and everyone gets ready to depart, Roshi tells Goku that he can't come back with him. It's time for him to depart on his own training journey, find his own way. So Goku decides to depart, bidding his friends goodbye, as he departs on the next step of his journey. After departing from the Tenkaichi with the quest to get stronger, Goku would be at a loss on where to go. He'd want to get stronger for next time as he had a lot of fun, plus he doesn't really feel like losing next time, so training just along the land wouldn't give the gains that he needs to get stronger. So, he reminisces about the stories Roshi told him when he was younger about his various masters, remembering how he trained under Master Korin. Goku then set off to train under him. It would take a small while, but he'd eventually make it to Korin's. There, he'd meet Upa and Bora, exchanging pleasantries with them. He reveals why he's there with them, allowing him access to Korin's tower. So Goku began climbing up Korin's tower to begin his training. He'd make it up there where he trains with Korin, trying to get the water from the cat sensei. This means that while the Red Ribbon Army arc transpires, Goku would be in the midst of his training. I think Goku would finish said training around the time Colonel Yellow appears and kidnaps Upa. This means he can save the boy even easier than what he did in canon. As a thank you, Bora decides to treat Goku to a meal, which he is grateful for. The time taken to eat allows Tao Pai Pai to show up and kill Bora. Angered by this, Goku attacks Tao Pai Pai. Since he's already had his Korin training, this fight is a lot like the second fight they originally had. So the end result is Tao Pai Pai accidentally blowing himself up. Again, Goku misses another crucial loss, which will only fuel his ego going forward. Being the kind-hearted guy he is, Goku agrees to revive Bora. He takes the 4-star ball and leaves on Kinto-un. His first location would be West City, since he needs to get the radar. Bulma never had an issue of not being able to ride the cloud, so she can't go with him since she doesn't make the shrinking device. This means Goku will be traveling alone. First is Jingle Village, where Goku has to scale Muscle Tower. That goes even quicker and Goku collects the Dragon Ball. Then Goku returns to Kame House to get the submarine. While there, Goku tells Roshi about how he defeated Tao Pai Pai, which shocks the Turtle Hermit. He feels some pride, but is even more worried now that Goku may get a big head. After Krillin returns to the submarine, he decides to tag along to help Goku with his task. They arrive at the pirate base with General Blue tailing them. The traps are easily avoided by both boys, and the pirate robot is easily destroyed. So whenever Blue inevitably catches up, he'd need to fight stronger versions of the duo. It's safe to say that he isn't making it out of there, with Goku using the Kamehameha to kill him. Both boys then collect the Dragon Ball and escape. Krillin would be rattled, so he'd return home, but Goku decides to take on the Red Ribbon Army base. Again, Goku wins and dismantles the army. Let's take a moment to look into our Goku's mindset. The strongest people he's fought, being Jackie Chan and Tao, both lost to him. He also dismantled an entire army, pretty much single-handedly, so he isn't exactly feeling humble at the moment. So when the need for the tournament against Barba's fighters arrives, Goku to tell the others that he doesn't need them. He can sweep without any of their help. Yamcha should protest, but quickly realizes that Goku is right. So Goku would be the only fighter against Barba's 4 warriors. Instead of wasting time on the fights, I think it's pretty clear that Goku would win, so let's just skip over it. They'd locate the final Dragon Ball, and use Shenron to revive Bora. Then Goku would leave to continue his training, with everyone promising to meet at the 22nd Tenkaichi. Over the time skip, a few things would occur. Goku's cocky attitude would slowly begin to amplify during the course of his training. Every important fight he's won, so naturally he'd believe he's the pinnacle of strength. Because of this, Goku would neglect brushing up on his martial arts in favor of increasing his raw strength. Over at Kame House, Roshi would fear this to be the case. Recognizing the need to defeat Goku, he'd increase his training regimen to allow for better gains for himself. He'd also begin training Yamcha to make them all stronger. After explaining it to help Goku, Chi-Chi would also be training with him. Roshi would come clean about the Jackie Chan persona and tells them that they need to work together to beat him. They understand, and all head to the tournament with that in mind. At the tournament, everyone would then reunite with Goku. It's clear that Goku isn't that much different personality-wise, only when it comes to discussing his strength. For example, when Goku reveals he ran from the other side of the world to get here, he'd be bragging that it was an easy feat for him. Nothing too crazy, but it isn't a good mindset to have. When they run into the Crane School, Goku would be more cocky here, especially after learning about their connection to Tao. This means that Tenshinhan would hold a grudge against Goku off the bat, as opposed to holding one against Yamcha. Chaozu would then proceed with the tournament bracket rigging. Tenshinhan wants to fight Goku immediately, but knows that isn't a good idea, so he decides to watch what he can do and fight him the next round. Tenshinhan partners himself up with Pamput and Goku against Krillin. This way he can watch how he fights and can eliminate Turtle students easier. As for the others, he places Yamcha against Chaozu and Chi-Chi against Jackie Chan. After Tenshinhan easily wins his fight, Goku and Krillin step into the arena. They fight a lot like in canon since they're both stronger. It's clear to everyone that Goku's attacks are more sloppy though. Despite that, Krillin is still unable to power through to defeat him. Both boys would still be rather happy at their fight though. Then Chaozu fights Yamcha. I don't think Yamcha is smart enough to come up with confusing Chaozu in maths. Even though he's stronger, he's unable to throw around the weight and is defeated by the Crane School student. He does come out of the fight in a much better condition than his canonical self though, so that's a W. Capping off round 1 is Jackie Chun against Chi-Chi. The fight would be pretty brief, and obviously Chi-Chi loses, but it fills Jackie Chun with some pride to see how far his student has come. She'd also use the Kamehameha solely to impress Goku, which it would. Before the next fight, Roshi would approach Tenshinhan. He reveals his identity to the Triclops, which he initially believes is a ploy to get him to go easy on the student. Roshi tells him that it isn't the case though. Goku is his son, and even though he shows a lot of promise, his strength has proven his downfall, so he asks Tenshinhan to give him a good fight without any dirty tricks. Revitalize his love for martial arts once more. Ten asks why he should listen, with Roshi revealing he can tell he isn't that bad of a guy. This just makes Tenshinhan scoff though. In the fight, Tenshinhan and Goku fight a lot like canon. Goku is stronger than Ten here, but the Ten's technical prowess lets him get the better of him quite often. It's clear that Goku is getting slightly annoyed at the various techniques Tenshinhan deploys, believing them to be cheap tricks. So Goku's attacks become blinded by rage, making him easier to read. Goku begins charging a Kamehameha, placing lots of energy into it. Everyone who can feel Ki can tell that this attack will kill, shouting to Goku to stop. Ten realizes this as well, and begins to panic a little. If the attack hits, it will kill and he can't deflect it. He can't truly be serious. Goku releases the attack, making Tenshinhan leap backwards to avoid it. It hits him hard, but he avoids the majority of the damage, falling from the arena in the process. Goku would be cheering and bragging, but his friends all tell him that wasn't cool. They'd all be checking up on Tenshinhan and making sure he's okay, which he shockingly is. This makes Goku feel kinda betrayed, but nonetheless he'd keep it bold. Jackie Chun would go on to defeat Chaozu with relative ease, leading to the final round. For the final match, Jackie Chun removes his disguise, telling Goku that the announcer let him tag in for Jackie Chun. Goku tells Roshi has been waiting to beat him for a while now, smiling playfully. Roshi is disappointed though. He tells Goku that he's lost what it means to be a martial artist. He shouldn't fight to win or to beat his opponent, he should fight to better himself. It's hard for the monkey boy to understand. When the fight begins, the duo rush each other. Roshi will be on the defensive, parrying blows from Goku with relative ease. This annoys Goku as he tells Roshi to stop playing around. Roshi continues dodging before striking Goku in several pressure points. He seizes up temporarily, but is quickly back up and ready to fight. To prove a point, Roshi decides to go all out. He begins charging up, shaking the stands as his power rises. His body bulks up as he enters buff form, making him tower over his adopted child. While Goku is still confident, he quickly realizes that he's outmatched. Roshi is stronger than him and has the skill to back it up, making him truly a terrifying opponent to face. Any underhanded tactic Goku tries doesn't work, making him pretty frustrated. This is the first time his strength hasn't been enough. It's not fair, he should be on top. He will be on top. Goku charged up a Kamehameha with Roshi doing the same, leading to a beam struggle. Unfortunately though, the Turtle Hermit's beam is stronger, carrying Goku out of the arena. Roshi tells Goku the lesson about how there'll always be someone stronger, but that falls on deaf ears. Feeling frustrated and embarrassed at his first actual loss, Goku runs away to go be alone. Being close to him, both Chi-Chi and Krillin begin trying to find Goku. They don't find him, but instead they do find Tambourine. The rest of the gang find Krillin on the verge of death, with Chi-Chi's dead body nearby. It'd fallen Chaozu and Yamcha to deal with the creature, since Roshi and Ten are both exhausted. Together, they successfully killed Tambourine. Roshi would then realize that the threat of King Piccolo has once again returned. Goku would be training in the mountainside. He's rather angry, believing that he needs more power. So who better to go to than Korin? He trained with him last time, so surely he must have more to teach. If not him, then maybe that Crane Hermit will have something for him. So Goku begins heading to Korin's. Meanwhile with the gang, recognizing the threat of King Piccolo, they'd all be preparing on how to counter him. Tambourine had made a move for the Dragon Balls, so they decide to begin collecting them. Krillin brings up the fact they should probably tell Goku, but they don't have time to waste to go looking for him. So they simply collect the Dragon Balls, preparing a plan similar to canon. Yamcha decides to break off from the team to protect the members of the gang who can't fight. While he wants to help, he probably just get in the way. After collecting as many Dragon Balls as they can, they decide to enact the plan of using Shenron to stop him. Piccolo shows up and eats his Dragon Balls to prevent this from happening, which throws a spanner in the works. Roshi then paralyzes Ten and Krillin as he prepares to go fight Piccolo. Thanks to his constant training with Goku over the years, Roshi isn't too far from Piccolo's power. He's still tired from the tournament, but he isn't too far off full power. So instead of immediately resorting to the Mafuba, Roshi begins to fight him. Shockingly, Roshi be doing really well, using his martial arts prowess to get the better of his demonic opponent. Piccolo does get some good hits on the old man, but the blows are definitely reciprocated. He'd recognize that with his current power, winning doesn't seem too likely, so he spits up the Dragon Balls, launching them at Piano as he shouts at him to make the wish. Piano summons Shenron and goes to make the wish, but Chiaotzu dives in, asking the dragon to destroy Piccolo. Shenron's eyes glow, invoking fear into the demon. The dragon reveals he cannot do that, as it's not in his power. Piccolo smiles as he blasts Chiaotzu, killing him. Piano then makes the wish, and King Piccolo's youth is restored, leading to him killing Shenron. Back with Goku, he'd arrive at Korin's tower where he'd approach the Cat Master for more training. It's clear though his attention is stuck on something. Goku asks him what he's looking at, with Korin telling Goku the events that are transpiring. This makes Goku nervous, having heard stories about the Demon King. He wants to rush off to help, but Korin tells him to wait. There's nothing he can do the way he is now, he'll only get himself killed. So Goku is forced to sit there helplessly and listen to the events as they transpire. Now with Piccolo's youth restored, he begins beating into Roshi almost effortlessly. Even with Roshi's training, he's still no match for this threat. He's forced to resort to using the Mafuba, but that fails, leading to his ultimate demise. Piccolo laughs maniacally as he moves on to his plans of world domination. Krillin and Ten, they'd recover from paralysis without any idea what to do. They both want to stop Piccolo, but they don't have a way to do that. Krillin votes they should look for Goku, since he'd be the best bet in winning, which Tien has to admit. How are they going to find him though? Telepathically, Korin contacts them and reveals Goku's with him. He gives them the location on where to go, but then both decide to head there. When they arrive, they see Goku training on the tower. He was offered the Ultra Divine Water, but Goku knows that won't be enough. Just like Mutaito, Goku needs to use the Mafuba, so he's training to use the sealing technique. Ten Shinhon, after getting a look at King Piccolo's strength firsthand, realizes that even if Goku learns the Mafuba, he won't be able to win. So he drinks the water, and Krillin trains with Goku to learn the Mafuba. While Krillin trains with Goku, the Saiyan begins to break down in tears. His last interaction with his father, who's mad at him, and now he's gone. Krillin consoles his friend, telling him that he didn't resent him for it. At least they can avenge him now. Goku agrees, and so he trains even harder. King Piccolo would go on to take over the role of King of Earth, and makes a declaration that he'll be destroying West City. Watching this on TV, Bulma begins to panic as she tells Yamcha he needs to go stop him. He wants to argue, but Gohan tells his student he's not the coward he once was. Yamcha suits up and gets Bulma to pilot him to Piccolo's location. He'll stop him before the others even get a chance. He arrives just as King Piccolo is about to leave and tells him that he's going to stop him. This leads to Piccolo spitting out Drum, who begins beating up Yamcha. Yamcha is weaker than Ten Shinhon in canon, so he's going to get beaten even worse. His leg is snapped and he's left at the mercy of the demon. Before they can finish him off though, they hear a loud scream from up above as Krillin lands headfirst into the ground. Goku apologizes as he and Ten Shinhon land swiftly behind him. After Drum is dispatched of, the trio all begin to fight King Piccolo. Ten Shinhon would be the one to mainly fight the demon, using his various techniques and his newfound strength to match Piccolo's raw power. While Goku's angry, he realizes that if they are to defeat this threat, he needs to rely on Ten Shinhon. So instead of flying off the handle or acting cockily, he lets Ten Shinhon do most of the heavy lifting. Him and Krillin do still try to help though. Despite his strength, Goku's actually doing the worst. He chalks it up to him feeling turmoil over the loss of his father though. King Piccolo would feel pushed into the corner and takes Yamcha as a hostage, which briefly works. Ten Shinhon is able to land a Taiyo-Ken however, blinding the Demon King. Goku and Krillin then move in and use a combined Mafuba. The green wave emerges from both of them, sweeping King Piccolo up. Due to both of them using the technique, and the fact King Piccolo is probably more damaged, it leads to him successfully being sealed away by the gang. They all sign relief as they rest easy, having just saved the world. Goku apologizes for how he acted, with them all forgiving him. He tells them that he promises to fix this, and calls upon Kinto-un, where he ascends to the heavens to speak to Kami. Here, Kami beats him up even easier since Goku is weaker. Since there is no Piccolo Jr., Kami won't be too eager to train Goku, which disappoints him. After Shenron is revived, as well as everyone Piccolo killed, Goku would be ready to depart. Before he does so, Kami asks him if he knows why Krillin and Tenshinhan were doing better than him. Confused, he answers that he doesn't. Kami tells him that it's because they weren't obsessed with strength like Goku was. Throughout, they've been martial artists, training to better themselves, not to overpower an opponent. While Goku started off like that, his constant winning has clouded his judgment and made him sloppy. This surprises Goku, as the revelation hits him. Kami's right. In front of the god, Goku bows, begging him to train him. Kami is right, and he's ashamed of that. He can't go and face his friends as the man he is now. Please help him reform himself once more. Recognizing the change in his heart, Kami agrees, and so Goku begins training with him. Over the time skip, a few things notably are different. Goku is a lot weaker afterward due to him focusing on relearning his martial arts, so he becomes a more technical fighter but at the cost of strength. Tenshinhan and Chaozu are stronger due to Ten being stronger, and Roshi will continue training with Krillin, wanting to become stronger to fight Goku once more. So the 23rd Tenkaichi would arrive and everyone reunites, all except for Goku. He wants to return to his friends once more, but still feels guilt about how he left things with his father. Instead, he decides to sign up for the tournament to fight them. Roshi would join the tournament here as well, for reasons previously stated, though he isn't signing up as Jackie Chan. In the tournament, we get to see a few changes off the bat. Chaozu still loses, but he isn't as injured as he was in canon. This means that he's able to rig the roster for the gang when they all get through to the end. Since Piccolo Jr. doesn't exist, and Kami doesn't need to enter, the two spots are filled up by Yajirobe and Roshi. When Chaozu rigs the roster, Roshi requests to be paired up with Goku first. Obviously Chaozu agrees. Then Krillin goes up against Chi-Chi, Yamcha against Yajirobe, and Tenshinhan against Tao. In the first fight, both father and son enter the arena. Without any words exchanged, the duo both assume martial arts poses. Seeing Goku return to his martial arts roots makes Roshi smile. They both rush at each other and begin exchanging blows. Each attack is well placed, with proper form, demonstrating to everyone how Goku's returned to the man he once was. This fight isn't very long, with Roshi quickly forfeiting, feeling satisfied. Then him and Goku hug, glad to see each other once more. Next is Chi-Chi vs Krillin, but Krillin ends up winning, commenting on how Chi-Chi slacked on her training. Yamcha would defeat Yajirobe in his fight, and Tenshinhan would still defeat Tao. Nothing new or exciting happens there, there's no point in focusing much on it. In the second round, we get Goku vs Krillin. The fight is very similar to their fight in canon, except for the fact Goku doesn't have a tail. Ultimately, Goku defeats Krillin and moves on to the finals. As for Tenshinhan and Yamcha, the fight is like their canon fight, except obviously Tenshinhan isn't hostile. Yamcha would end up busting out his Sokidan to try and defeat the Triclops, but that doesn't work. He's then defeated. So the final round would see Goku vs Tenshinhan. Before the fight even starts, Goku removes his weighted clothing as he recognizes Ten's strength. The duo begin fighting, but it being evident Tenshinhan is stronger, if only by a little bit. Goku's skills as a martial artist, however, are giving him the edge and allowing him to whittle his opponent down. Like in canon, Tenshinhan resorts to using the multiform, which proves to be his downfall. Goku ends up bringing Tenshinhan out and winning the Tenkaichi. As everyone celebrates Goku's win, Kami appears in front of all of them. He congratulates Goku on his win, and decides to offer him the role of God. While he didn't defeat Piccolo here, he was one of the people who sealed him away. So Kami is using this tournament to determine who would be his replacement. Just like in canon, Goku turns down the role. However, he does have an idea for a new Kami. He suggests that Roshi be the one to ascend to the heavens and become God of Earth. Immediately, Roshi humbly denies it, but everyone pushes for that to happen. Without him, none of them would be there, and Piccolo would have won. It was his teachings that led to the Earth being saved. Who else would be the better choice than Roshi? Roshi's on the fence, but Oolong leans into his ear, whispering something to him. This makes Roshi change his attitude, as he's immediately ready to go. They ask Oolong what he said, with him saying that Roshi could see any woman he wants from up there. Before anyone can dwell on this choice maybe being a bad idea, Kami leaves with Roshi to train to become God. A few things would occur, obviously. Chi-Chi would end up marrying Goku and moving into Kame House, where they end up having a child, like normal. His name wouldn't be Gohan, but for simplicity, that's what we'll refer to him as. Goku's name here isn't Goku either, so it's fine. After her death and her new status as a mother, Chi-Chi would retire from fighting, however she'd be more okay with Gohan training, so Goku would teach Gohan the basics of fighting here. The boy still wouldn't be a massive fan of training, but would be open to learn it, so here he'd be slightly stronger. Goku would luckily have a sparring partner during the 5 years that isn't a part of his family. Krillin would still live at Kame House, so he'd be there to train with Goku. This means that after the 5 years, Goku would be around his canon power level. It also means that Krillin is much stronger. In canon, his power level was 206, however, I think we can bump that up to 309. Speaking of training, Roshi would begin his training with Kami to become Guardian of Earth. The first lesson of his training is to conquer his perverted side, like he does in the anime when preparing for the Tournament of Power. While this is pretty hard for Roshi, he's able to successfully do it. He'd learn all sorts of lessons from both Kami and Popo, like how to survey the earth, as well as various martial arts skills he didn't even know of. So his training would be very beneficial for him. I'd place his power level in this timeline at 348. He also has buff form, which would further increase his strength. Roshi is pretty powerful here. After 5 years have passed, the gang all decide to have a reunion. Since Roshi is God, he can't just leave the lookout for leisure. So we'd have to give the location of the lookout to the gang so they can all successfully find him. Roshi would tell his 2 students that they've kept the will of the Turtle School alive, but that isn't enough. There needs to be a Turtle School master, but one to carry on the legacy into the next generation. He knows it'll be one of them, but he can't truly decide, so they'll need to decide between them. Goku asks Krillin if he wants to settle this with a spar, which he is happy to oblige. Meanwhile, Raditz would arrive on Earth where he begins looking for Goku. Here though he has a much harder time locating him due to him being on the lookout. In his search for his brother, Raditz ends up running into Tenshin on Yamcha for eventually getting alerted to 2 high power levels in the sky. This happens to be a Kamehameha clash between Goku and Krillin. So Raditz shows up in the midst of their battle. Believing that his brother is trying to kill the human, the Saiyan interjects, kicking Krillin into one of the pillars of the tower. Raditz then tells his brother to get serious. This leads to a very similar interaction, ending with Raditz taking Gohan. After Goku and Krillin get senzus, Goku would be ready to stop Raditz. Since Piccolo isn't there, the Saiyan doesn't immediately leave, but instead he hears out what the others have to say. While Roshi wants to help, he's already died once, so he opts not to. Instead, they decide to go and get Yamcha and Ten to help, which they would be okay with. So after they all meet up, they rock up to where Raditz is to stop him. The 4 of them all begin to fight against Raditz, doing relatively well. Despite the additional numbers, the fight is very similar to canon. The only difference is that Tenshinhan uses the Kiko Ho to kill Raditz and Goku, since again, Piccolo isn't there. Yamcha would tell Raditz about the Dragon Balls, and Raditz would tell him about the Saiyans, so they'd all still have time to prepare for the impending threat in a year's time. Due to the impending threat of the Saiyans, Kami realizes how dire the situation is. Recognizing there is no other way, he goes deep in the palace where he finds a rice cooker. After opening it, his evil half is once again allowed out into the world. Piccolo would be shocked that Kami released him, telling him he must have truly been desperate. The duo have a mental exchange where Piccolo realizes the impending Saiyan threat. While he doesn't want to help, he agrees to it on one condition. Without needing to say anything further, Kami understands, telling him that if he stops the Saiyans, his condition will be fulfilled. With Gohan's potential being on full display to everyone, it'd be clear that they need to rely on that. After getting permission from Chi-Chi, Roshi approaches Gohan and tells him that he'll be crucial in defeating the Saiyans. So if he wants to become a scholar in the future, he'll need to get strong now. Gohan understands this, and so he'd begin training under Roshi. Meanwhile, the rest of the Z-Fighters would be training on the lookout, with the exception of Goku, who's with King Kai. Everyone whose strength has changed, their power level is currently on screen, so make sure you take a look. When the Saiyans arrive, the group would all meet up in a wasteland, ready to fight off the Saiyans. Nappa would still get the idea to plant the Cybermen, with Yamcha still getting cocky. Despite his strength increase, the Cybermen would still off guard and kamikaze him. Krillin would then destroy the Cybermen, and Nappa would begin to fight. Both Chaozu and Tenshinhan die, despite being stronger, leaving the fight up to Roshi, Gohan, and Krillin. Nappa would probably have a bit of a harder time than he did in canon, but Roshi and Krillin are strong enough to actually make him try, which combined with their martial arts prowess makes him a very difficult opponent to defeat, especially when they're actively trying to stall out the fight. Piccolo would be staying back and simply watching the battle, only fighting when he needs to. He isn't exactly happy about risking his life to fight a battle for people he doesn't care about. Just as long as the Saiyans are dead, his condition for the deal will be done. Nappa would decide to attack the weakest link being Gohan using the Bomber DX. Roshi would teleport in the way, wielding a technique he picked up from his Guardian training to save Gohan. The attack hits him and would quickly lead to his death, which enrages Gohan and Krillin. After Gohan unleashes an angry Kamehameha, Krillin would launch a Kienzon at the Brute. With his increased strength, the disc reaches Nappa before Vegeta can tell him to dodge. Nappa would be cut in half and lands on the ground in pieces, shocked at this happening. He begs Vegeta to help him, but Piccolo simply blows him up. Vegeta remarks that they did well to defeat Nappa, but they won't be so lucky with him. As they all prepare to fight though, Goku shows up, where him and Vegeta begin to fight. The other three all decide to leave Goku to fight, however it doesn't take long for them to realize that Piccolo has gone missing. The fight between Goku and Vegeta goes normal until the part where Vegeta becomes an Ozaru. This wouldn't last as long, since Piccolo would be observing the fight. After he deems that Goku has been beaten enough, he decides to telepathically contact Kami, telling him to blow up the moon. While reluctant, Kami agrees. This causes Vegeta to revert back to his base. Before he can create a blood wave emitter to become an Ozaru once more, Piccolo unleashes an explosive demon wave at him that he's been charging the whole time. It sweeps up Vegeta and does sizable damage, carrying him pretty far away. Piccolo approaches the injured Goku, telling him that he was told to eliminate all the Saiyans. He holds out his hand to blast him away, but is kicked by Vegeta, causing him to stagger. He didn't expect him to still be alive. The duo begin to fight, with Vegeta definitely having the upper hand against the Namekian. Meanwhile, Gohan and Krillin show up and carry Goku a safe distance away. Goku would hand Krillin the Genki Dama and tells him he needs to hit Vegeta with it, which Krillin agrees to. As he stands on Piccolo's chest, he remarks that it was all bark and no bite. The duo notice the Genki Dama being hurled towards them, which Vegeta goes to dodge. Wanting to defeat Vegeta though, Piccolo extends his arms and wraps them around him to hold him down. With a smile over the Demon King's face, both of them are swept up in the blue explosion. After this, Vegeta would still be standing, with Piccolo in critical condition. It wouldn't take much teamwork for Krillin and Gohan to take Vegeta down, without the need of Gohan to go Ozaru. Goku would still vote for Vegeta to live, and he escapes. Krillin asks if he should kill Piccolo while he has a chance, but Goku also chooses to spare him. He did decide to help stop the Saiyans, even if he did have ulterior motives. If he does decide to attack them, then they can easily stop him. Everyone is taken to Wukong Hospital, with Goku and Piccolo being the most critical. The plan to go to Namek is still hatched, and Krillin, Gohan, and Bulma all head there to collect the Dragon Balls. Goku and Piccolo be given senzu beans the moment Korin grows some new ones. Immediately after awakening, Piccolo would blow a hole in the wall and flies away where he arrives at the lookout. He tells Kami that he did everything he asked, and now it's time. They will become whole once more, with Piccolo being the dominant host. Kami bids farewell to Popo, and fuses into King Piccolo. Piccolo smiles, recognizing that his goal of conquering Earth can now become a reality. Goku would approach Piccolo on the lookout, where he tells him about how he's going to Namek. He tells him that Piccolo is coming with him. The demon smiles, asking why he'd want to do that. He has no concern for his friends, he'd much rather stay where it's comfortable. At this, Goku gets serious, telling him he wasn't asking. Then activates Kaioken, telling Piccolo that if he decides to stay on Earth, he'll have no choice but to put him back in the jar. Recognizing that he doesn't have any options, Piccolo reluctantly agrees to tag along to the journey to Namek. On the ship, Goku and Piccolo would be training separately from one another. So Goku's power level would be 90k, and Piccolo not far behind at 89k. They arrive on Namek, where Goku forces Piccolo to accompany him to where the others are. The duo head over and arrive on the same scene that Goku did in canon. Goku beats Recoome and Berta, with Jaice escaping. During this, Piccolo would decide to sneak away, not wanting to help. While Krillin and Gohan are worried about Piccolo's disappearance, Goku tells them that they shouldn't worry about it. Worst case scenario is Piccolo leaves the planet, in which case they use the wish to teleport the ship back, leaving Piccolo in space somewhere, so they don't have to worry about it right now. The fight with Ginyu would transpire, and that all goes the same, leaving Goku comatose, and the others all with the 7 Dragon Balls. Here they decide on reviving Roshi, however I doubt he'd want to come to Namek. Roshi has his duty to Earth, so he needs to make it back there, plus they seemingly have it covered, so they simply use the 2nd wish to revive Yamcha. Before they can use the 3rd wish though, Porunga dies, and Frieza arrives. Meanwhile, Piccolo would meet Nail, where they fuse, to allow them a chance to defeat Frieza. And from here, really not much changes on Namek, unfortunately, beyond a few small changes. For example, Gohan wouldn't get angry when Piccolo is defeated, since he doesn't care for him here. Also, when Frieza's about to kill Dende, Piccolo kicks him out of the way of the attack, which gets him quite hurt.
No one understands why he did that, but they have more pressing matters to deal with. Krillin would still die to Frieza, and Goku still goes Super Saiyan. Everyone then flees the planet on Goku's ship, and Goku is forced to leave to Yardrat. Without Earth's Dragon Balls, everyone believes that they might be screwed. Dende, however, reveals that he might be able to remake the Dragon Balls if they have the statue of the dragon, which they do. During the travel back to Earth, Piccolo had been meditating intensely, confused at why he decided to save Dende. Surely he isn't going soft, right? When they get back to Earth, Dende remakes Shenron, meaning we get the Amped Dragon Balls much earlier. So they wish the souls of everyone who died on Namek to Earth with the first wish, and with the second they revive everyone who died on Namek, meaning that the whole Namekian population and Vegeta would appear on Earth. With the last wish of Porunga, they then revive Krillin. The time skip also pretty much goes the same, with Piccolo going into isolation to train for Goku's return.
When the Namekians return to that planet, Dende decides to stay on Earth with Roshi and Popo as he's grown to like them. Frieza and Cold still arrive on Earth, Trunks kills them, and informs Goku of the impending threat of the androids, which he conveys to the others. So everyone would begin their training. Goku, Krillin, and Gohan would all train together at Kame House, meaning that Goku and Gohan would likely be weaker. It does mean that Krillin would be a lot stronger though. Roshi would train on the lookout as he believes he'd only slow down the others if he trained with them. He'd make sure to refine his technique during this time. Finally, Piccolo would be training in the wasteland alone during this. He believes that he'll take over the world after the androids are dealt with, which is why he's deciding to still assist people he deems as enemies. Truth be told, the android and Cell arc are also extremely similar, with Krillin and Roshi taking Piccolo's role from canon. The only difference would be that when Piccolo and 17 fight, he'd be significantly weaker than his canonical junior self, meaning that 17 would actually kill him. His absence wouldn't really be noticed however, since from this point onward Piccolo didn't do anything. The only change would be that Gohan is wearing a Turtle School gi. Towards the end of the arc, when Goku refuses to come back, Krillin would remind him that he has to. He needs to keep the Turtle School alive. Goku remarks however that he's not ready to be a teacher. There is still so much that he has to learn. Besides, Krillin is way more worthy of that position anyway. So Krillin becomes a Turtle School master. Upon Goku's request, King Piccolo would be revived, where he'd quickly go into isolation out of embarrassment.
In the 7 years, quite a fair bit changes, finally. Krillin becomes the Turtle School master and takes the role very seriously. He trains with Roshi, learning a few things from him to become a better master. This would include learning buff form. He'd train with 18 after they marry, and inevitably he'd begin training his first students. His daughter Marin, and Goku's son Goten. As for Piccolo, his solitude would only further his resentment for the Z-Fighters. Him being so weak compared to everyone else is truly weighing on him. Plus there's something wrong with him. Ever since being freed from his Mothra jar and fusing with Kami, small bits of compassion have begun to appear, and it truly makes him sick. He does his best to keep it back, but he knows he truly can't kick it. When Babidi and his forces come to Earth, instead of getting Spopovich and Yamu, Babidi would get Piccolo. He'd welcome the Wizard's Amp as it allows him to return to who he once was. At the tournament, the Z-Fighters would all attend to once again see Goku. It'd be nice seeing Goku reunite with his father, as well as Roshi interacting with Goten before his fight with Trunks. Mara would also enter the tournament, but she'd probably lose to Trunks. Goten however would end up winning the kids division here, so that's cool. Piccolo would end up beating Videl and taking Gohan's energy, fleeing back to Babidi. When everyone chases after him, Roshi would get a piggyback from Krillin as he wants to help deal with Piccolo. Babidi wouldn't kill Piccolo since he is very strong and useful to the Empire. Deborah kills Kibito and spits on Krillin, with Roshi being able to barely dodge. Everyone then heads inside where the fights all go the same. Vegeta becomes Majin and fights with Goku. While that happens, Roshi would opt to take on Piccolo, leaving Buu to Gohan and Shin. Piccolo laughs, telling Roshi that last time they fought, he died. Does he really believe he can beat him now? Roshi tells him that last time Piccolo was nothing more than evil incarnate. Surely he must have sensed that something has changed inside him. Annoyed by this, Piccolo angrily rushes at Roshi and begins to fight him. It's clear though that Roshi is stronger than Piccolo by now, avoiding the majority of his attacks without attempting to fight back. Roshi asks Piccolo if being evil is truly what makes him happy, or has it only left him feeling weak and bitter. Piccolo tries getting Roshi to shut up as the old man continues on. He saw what Piccolo used to be, hundreds of years ago. That monster almost destroyed the Earth. Now however, he's merely sat in a wasteland doing nothing. It's time to accept the fact that he's an ally to good. Piccolo continues brewing with rage until he abruptly stops. He begins trembling. as he tries to argue with himself. He is evil! Roshi places a hand on the Demon King's shoulder, telling him it's okay. He's done a lot of evil, but he can come back from it. They can do it together. He puts his hand out to Piccolo, offering it to him as a sign to join him. Piccolo hesitates before extending his hand, landing a hard blow to Roshi's solar plexus. He quickly falls unconscious as Piccolo gets up. He flies away, arriving where Buu is just as Vegeta does. Vegeta remarks to Babidi that it appears he can't keep any of his men under control, which Piccolo smirks at. The duo would begin to fight Buu, where they get beaten up badly. Buu would fire a Kamehameha which pierces through Piccolo's chest, allowing him to fight solely Vegeta. As Piccolo lays dying, he'd cough up an egg, spitting it towards Roshi's direction. He telepathically tells Roshi that he was too far down the dark, but maybe he can show his son the light. With a smile over his face, Piccolo then explodes. When Roshi awakens, he'd come across the newly born Piccolo Jr., where he takes him with him. Everyone would go to the lookout where Goku still fights Buu, showing off Super Saiyan 3 before returning. He begins teaching Goten and Trunks the fusion dance with Krillin assisting. Roshi reminds his son not to rely on that form he showed off. It's all brute strength. Remember what all his masters taught him. Goku takes this to heart, but doesn't have long to dwell on it as he returns to the Otherworld. Krillin would take on Piccolo's canonical role of training the kids as Buu continuously destroys more of Earth. The timeline reunites from here with some small changes, one of which being that Dende saves Piccolo and keeps the young Namekian by his side. Also, we see Krillin attempt to use the Morpher Belt on Buu, but that doesn't work. So the only change would occur when Kid Buu shows up and begins destroying Earth. As Goku struggles to use instant transmission, he recognizes what Roshi told him. He can't be stressing out, he must remain calm. So calm. He powers down to base, closing his eyes as he calms his very being. For a fraction of a second, a blue aura surrounds Goku as his eyes turn a light grey. He turns around and manages to stop Buu's attack. While the Earth is significantly damaged, at least it is partially still intact. Vegeta asks Goku what that power is, with Goku not even knowing. He plans on finding out, however. Goku begins fighting Kid Buu, but the tiny Jin bodies him. It's clear that he cannot tap into that power once more. Vegeta darts in, telling Goku to figure out what it was. He'll hold off Buu in the meantime. Vegeta fights Buu using Super Saiyan 2 as Goku simply meditates on the sidelines. He begins listening to Roshi's voice in his head, trying to calm himself. It takes a while, but once more, the blue aura appears, as do his silver eyes. Without even thinking, Goku darts in, kicking Kid Buu away from Vegeta. Vegeta asks Goku if he can win now, with the Saiyan not even knowing the answer himself. He doesn't know how long this power will last, so he's going to end this now. Goku begins fighting Kid Buu in Ultra Instinct Omen, completely dominating the fight. This power is fleeting, and Goku knows it, doing his best to destroy him. Buu recognizes this and begins getting desperate, beginning to fire a barrage of ki blasts. The Saiyan doesn't flinch as he charges up a Kamehameha, running towards Buu. In a last-ditch attempt, Buu fires his own blast, which Goku leaps over, riding on the blast of his own ki orb. Goku then unleashes the blast, point blank, completely vaporizing Buu. He turns around to the others with a grin over his face, before passing out. Now, it might seem a bit far-fetched for Goku to get UI so early, but you have to remember, I always use the manga continuity for Super, and in the manga it's Roshi who actually leads to the transformation of UI, by reminding Goku to remember his former masters. So here, that's just what would happen naturally.
In the time after the Buu arc, Roshi would end up raising the young Piccolo Jr. on the lookout along with Dende. He trained him in the ways of Kame style, but also teach him various things Kame taught him years ago. His hope for the child is that one day he will take over the role as God of Earth. Dende would also be teaching him some Namekian things, including how to make Dragon Balls. These things will take a while for him to learn, so he's not exactly going to be one of the strongest sea fighters anytime soon. Over with Goku, he'd be attempting to unlock Omen again after using it against Kid Buu. Despite his constant attempts though, he'd never be pushed to the edge to access that new power again. Beerus would still wake up in search of the Super Saiyan God, but this arc would go the same, with Goku going God and fighting Beerus. Goku and Vegeta then begin training with Whis shortly after. Upon describing the fight with Kid Buu to Whis, the angel determines that Goku must have accessed Ultra Instinct without even realizing it. He tells Goku that this is amazing for a mortal to do, and that his training will teach him to reawaken that power. First, however, he should learn to wield God Ki more comfortably, as it may be able to help him in the process. So he'd still end up learning Blue, along with Vegeta. Frieza would still be revived, and after training, comes to Earth with his forces. This also goes the same, except Krillin would take Piccolo's canonical role. They still need to rewind Frieza destroying Earth, and then Goku puts him down. Due to Goku's technical prowess, it wouldn't take him long to figure out how taxing Blue is on stamina, so he'd end up learning the tactic of switching from God to Blue in order to conserve energy a bit earlier. This means that Vegeta would be aware of it and learns how to do it during the time chamber training for the tournament between universes. Speaking of the tournament, the roster would also be slightly different, with Krillin taking Piccolo's place. So after Goku takes the L from Frost, Krillin would step up to fight. We get to see Turtle Master Krillin be an expert tactician, using his buff form as well as his Kienzon and Taiyoken to try and bring out Frost. Just like Piccolo though, while he'd get up close to winning, he'd inevitably fall to the cheetah. He'd then step down after being reinstated upon Vegeta's request. In Vegeta's fight with Hit, Vegeta would be using Super Saiyan God to preserve his strength. He would put up a better fight, but due to a lack of information on Hit's technique, he'd still end up losing. The tournament then plays out like normal, Goku forfeiting and Hit faking the loss. It might feel like we're moving really quickly, but truth be told, there's only so much that can change, so we have to keep it authentic. Moving into the Black Arc, the first half of it also sadly goes the same, except we just see Vegeta and Goku using their God forms. Finally though, we get to see a difference of note. When Goku and Vegeta realize they need to do some more training, Goku would train with Whis instead of with Roshi. This is because Goku already knows the alphabet, and so he doesn't need to learn the technique. Here we'd finally get to see Goku getting access to Omen on a whim. As for Vegeta, with more understanding about how draining Blue is, he'd end up picking up on Mastered Blue, and so he'd learn that from his time chamber training. When they return to the future, Goku would be able to successfully seal away Zamasu, since he would know how to make the seal and wouldn't have Roshi's coupon by accident. Black would be panicking, which makes Vegeta grin as he goes into his Mastered Blue form. He proceeds to beat up Black without remorse, knocking the body swapper around without breaking a sweat. Vegeta would proceed to use his Gamma Burst Flash on Black, which engulfs him. As he begins to be flung onto Death's Door, his body adapts once more. In a blur, Black moves from out of the beam, landing a hard blow onto Vegeta. He flings him around faster than anyone can see until the Saiyan Prince is left on the ground unconscious. Black stands there grinning at Goku and Trunks in Ultra Instinct Omen. Goku would power up to Omen and begins fighting his doppelganger, telling Trunks to deal with Vegeta. Gowasu and Shin would take Zamasu's jar and use Kai Kai to take it to the realm of the Kais before quickly returning, to ensure that Black cannot free him. Black would be smug, declaring that he has the power of the angels at his fingertips as he defeats Goku. Before he can kill him though, Trunks would begin to fight Black in an attempt for a distraction. Vegeta would have still got the Bulma pep talk, leading to him telling Goku they need to fuse, so we get to see Ultra Instinct Omen Vegeta fight Black. While this form wouldn't last long, he'd do a lot more damage than in canon, leaving Black on Death's Door once more. When they defuse though, Black would declare that he has won. No longer does a being exist that can stop him, he will rule the heavens and the earths. As he laughs maniacally though, a sword stabs him from behind as Trunks catches him off guard. He removes his sword slowly and proceeds to decapitate him, declaring that it's over. So Trunks would save his timeline without calling for Zeno. As for the Tournament of Power, the setup for that all goes the same, with the team being identical to what it was canonically. The only change is that we have a weaker Piccolo in favor of a stronger Krillin, Roshi, and Goku. In the beginning when Frost attacks Universe 7, he'd end up bringing out Piccolo and Ten Shinhan in quick succession. Krillin, however, is able to stay in the arena, fighting alongside Gohan to take out Universe 9. He'd continue fighting with Gohan until noticing 18 in peril, fighting against the Universe 2 trio. Naturally, he'd rush to help his wife, but he'd be surprised when they all stop fighting, amazed by his beauty. With their wills to fight lost, they go to jump off the arena. Gamisaurus rushes up behind them though, knocking them off the arena along with 18 and Krillin. Gohan would then knock out the invisible fighter. Over with Goku, he'd end up whipping out Omen against Kale when our rampage begins. He'd put up a good fight against the Goliath, using his technical prowess to outmaneuver her sloppy attacks. He'd fling her out the arena, but Kaba would catch her last second, sacrificing himself to put the Potara earring on her. So we'd still get Kefla, who'd end up fighting Gohan to a double knockout. Due to this new showing of power, Jiren would be more interested in fighting Goku, which is what would happen. He'd be doing pretty well, but this level of power isn't enough to defeat Jiren. He'd be overpowered by Jiren and almost flung out of the arena. Luckily though, Roshi's able to capture him and sacrifice himself to keep Goku going. When 17 does his full sacrifice, this would be sufficient enough to allow Goku to feel enough turmoil, pushing him to the next level of UI. Thanks to this, Goku would be able to finally defeat Jiren, since he wouldn't end up falling out of the form on a whim. he'd be declared the MVP of the tournament and would make the wish to revive all the universes. The Broly movie would happen pretty much similarly until when Broly goes berserk. Goku would once again wield Ultra Instinct to defeat Broly, which I believe is what would happen. Chila and Lemma would be forced to steal the Dragon Balls and wish for Broly to be sent to Vampa a lot quicker, so the movie would be finished a lot sooner. Vegeta would be rather jealous of Goku's strength after this, and begin training more intensely, leading to Beerus taking Vegeta as a student earlier. So Vegeta would learn Ultra Ego and Hakai here sooner, thanks to Goku's increased strength. The Moro arc would also be solved a lot sooner, since Goku and Vegeta are both much stronger. In the first fight with the Wizard, Goku and Vegeta overpower him, with Goku using the Alphabet to seal Moro away. His jar is then given to the Galactic Patrol to look after, with them admitting that he's going to be easier to monitor now. At the time of scripting this, the Granola arc isn't done. However, I imagine it would either go the same, or that Granola would just fight Frieza instead of the Saiyans. And Superhero would also go the same, except that Piccolo wouldn't be hanging out with Pan. He'd likely still want Gohan to rekindle his fighting spirit though, so the movie would pretty much go the same. But guys, that's where we're gonna have to leave it here. Make sure you like and subscribe and comment down below any requests for future videos. This series has been really fun, even if Super was kind of lackluster. And yeah, bye!